Hey folks, Bridges here. So for the last couple of days we've been practicing our precision measuring with the dial calipers. And this last couple of days, again, we've been practicing by measuring these MathLink cubes, which I've got a link to right here. So you've seen these before probably in your elementary school days. And they are pretty uniform. They're all about the same size. These measurements are not very precise, 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters. There's a stud height of, they call it 0.2 centimeters and a diameter of 1.5. We measured them more precisely, down to the 1,000th of an inch, and then your challenge was to model them in Fusion 360 with a plan moving forward after that. So let's get to it. I'll help you with the modeling process if you need help. Now, it is my hope that you are using these video tutorials as a guide and not relying upon them as a crutch. What that means is I hope that you're trying to do some modeling in Fusion by yourself and hopefully just skipping through the video to find the parts that you need and not relying on me to walk you through how to do the entire part start to finish. With that being said, let's go ahead and kick it off by creating a new sketch. And I'm going to create the sketch on the bottom plane. Now I'm going to try something a little different than what we've been doing. A lot of times we've been starting in the origin and building up and to the right from there, and this time I'm going to start by centering my part on the origin. Just trying to throw a couple new techniques at you guys as we build here. So I'm going to build a rectangle, and I'm going to choose a center point rectangle for a difference. Instead of the 2 point where we click on the 2 corners, we're going to start on by clicking the center. And I'm going to put the center right at my origin. And as I move up and out, you can see it stretches from there. I do have my document settings set on inches right now because that is what our dial calipers measure in, is 1,000th of an inch. So I do have that set to inches. So I'll just go back and recreate that center point rectangle. And as I go up and out, you can see the width is highlighted at the bottom. And I went ahead and measured mine, and it is 0.789 is what I got. Oops, I must have forgotten the point. 0.789. Okay, that makes it rather skinny, and I'm going to try to match the height to the width by typing the tab key, and it allows me to now type in my height. Well, here's something new. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and press escape here. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Shouldn't have done that. So I'm going to create my 2-point rectangle, my center rectangle. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and type in 0.789 for my width, and that's it. Okay, so I didn't specify a height. Do you see that? And clearly it's not a square. So what I need to do now is go in and specify my height dimension. And you know how to do that. I click on the height line, the side line, and I click over here to the side. But here's something new. Instead of typing in that same value, I'm simply going to click on the value that I've already entered for the width. And when I click on that, it says a value of D1. Okay? So this dimension that I'm typing in is dimension 2, but I'm typing it in to be equal to dimension 1, which is down here. And when I click enter, it says the function is, so whatever, it's a function of this first dimension. So whatever I type in for this first dimension, the second dimension, the height, is going to mimic or mirror that first one. And we're going to get more into this as the school year goes on, but for now this is a great place to start. So I'll go ahead and finish my sketch. I still need to remember that 0.789 because I'm going to extrude here now, and I want to raise it up the same height. I'll extrude this shape, but instead of going just up, okay, again, something new here, I'm going to change the direction. And instead of going one side, which is only up, I'm going to make it symmetric, and it's going to go up and down. You see that? It's going to go up some amount, but also down the same amount, and it's going to be symmetric. And now I'm going to type in here 0.789. But wait a second, that means it's going up and down 0.789. Well, I've got two ways to change that. I could type in divided by 2, and that gives me half of 0.789. Or, instead of doing divided by 2, I could simply change down here on my measurement. Right here, there's a little icon that shows, do you want to type in half the distance, or do you want to type in the whole distance? And I'm going to choose the whole distance. And our whole distance is 0.789, so I'll hit enter. So now, the reason I did that, you can see my origin is still in the center of my part. No matter where I look, the 0, 0, 0 is always in the dead center of my part right now. Okay. That might not be important, but then again, it might be later. Alright, so now we're at the point where we want to, we get to choose. Do you want to make the stud or the nub on the top, or do you want to make the holes around the edges? I'm going to choose to make the holes around the edges. And we've got another choice. Do we want to do a sketch of a circle and extrude that in as a cut, or do you just want to use the hole function, the hole feature to make the hole? I'm going to choose the latter and grab the hole feature here, and now it's saying, what face do you want to sketch on? Do you want to make the hole on? And I'll choose my front. Now when I do that, once I click, I can actually click and drag. This is one of the few times you actually drag. And I'm dragging my hole around, and I do want to line up with that dot right there in the center. Okay, this is one of the few times that it actually gives you a center point to snap to. Now the only two things I need to change here are, if I scroll down my hole window, I need to change the diameter of the hole, which I've already measured to be 0.555. Now your measurements might be a little bit different. That's okay. And the depth here, this represents the depth of the hole, and I've measured that already to be 0.109. Oh, and the final thing is, you can look at this from the side, and you can see that it's cutting in, and we're using a pointed drill bit right now. Okay, our drill bit it's got an angled point to it, and you can see the drill point setting is right here, and we want to choose it to be a flat drill point, because that's the way that the MathLink cubes look. If you look here online, there's a flat area inside there. Now we are going to go ahead and ignore the polygon holes in the center, the square and the pentagon, and there's also a triangle on this left side, and there's a hexagon on the back. So we'll ignore those, and we will put the hole in the top. So moving back to Fusion, I think our first hole is good, and I'm just going to repeat that process around. So doing the hole feature on this surface. Now I will click and drag that until I get the center mark to line up right there. Boom. And look, it saved my whole settings with the diameter and the depth and even the flat drill point. So that's great. So I'm going to go ahead and continue that with the back and the left and even the bottom. And I'll resume my video then. Alright, so I did go ahead and use the hole feature all the way around, except I left the top blank because I'm going to do the nub poking out of the top. I will go ahead and just revolve around. I'm actually going to use the free orbit tool, which is down here. I like that. If I click the free orbit tool, it looks like a little atom with the electrons orbiting. I can just click here and move all around it, and you can see all the sides have that little same indentation, except for the top. I'll go back to my home view up here on the view cube, and I'll press escape to get out of the orbit tool. So now all I need to do is simply create a sketch on the top surface, and the stud or the little nub that sticks up is actually slightly bigger than the holes in the sides. And if you think about it, for those MathLink cubes to actually click in together and snap together, there's got to be a little bit of friction, at least where it first interacts on that outside ring there. So yeah, for that nub to be slightly bigger, it's able to pop in there and hold itself together. It's called an interference fit, and we're going to talk about that next week. So we're going to sketch a circle centered on the top of the part. Ooh, I do want to sketch when I'm looking at it orthographically, don't I? And You know what? I don't remember what this measurement was, so I'm going to take a wild guess, and I'm going to say 0.111. I'm just guessing on that. That doesn't seem like it looks right, does it? Not at all. You know what? That's because that's the wrong size. So I'm going to say 0.565. And that is 1/10 of an inch larger than the holes down here. Sorry, 1/100th of an inch larger than the holes. And I'll finish the sketch. And now I'm simply going to finish the sketch and extrude that circle right up and out. And I'm going to come up the same distance that the holes are deep, and that is a distance of 0.109. Okay. Now we're almost done. Except for, if you look at the bottom, this bottom hole, that little indentation is there, but in the center of that there's a slightly smaller hole. So I'm going to use my hole feature again. Now I'm not going to put the hole starting down here on this surface. I'm going to start out here on this surface. And the reason for that is when I use my Dial Caliper to measure the depth of this skinnier, deeper hole, I measure to the shoulders up here. I don't measure to the thin shoulder inside of here. That probably makes more sense if I show you in person. So don't worry too much. When you choose your bottom hole and you're drilling out this deeper center hole, just make sure that you're starting your hole on this bottom surface and not on the bottom of the hole. So I'll choose the surface of the cube, and then I'm going to drag my hole into place using the center mark as the guide. And then I'm going to make my inner hole a little bit smaller, and I'm just eyeballing it right here because I don't have my cube on me to measure, but you do, so you can measure it. And I'll say the depth of the hole with a flat bottom is going to go up to, I know about where it goes to. I think it goes right up about to right there. And you would, like I said again, you would measure that and do the correct depth. So now we've got a hole that goes up through, but we've also got the little indentation just like on the sides. It's just not the bottom of the hole isn't complete. And finally, we've got one more little center hole that pokes through the middle of the top. Again, I'll use the hole feature. I'll click on my surface, and then I'll click to move that to the same center point. And that is a much smaller hole, something right around there. Now when we select this hole, look, it's cutting down through a pretty good ways down through. It's actually the same depth as our previous hole, which went up from the bottom. However, this hole, when we drill it, it's only got a little bit of material there, and then it's cutting through air. So we can actually change this distance and the extent, change that from distance to all, and it's going to cut through whatever is left of that material right there. You can see, and then it stops. So we'll say OK. And ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. We could take some time. Matter of fact, I will take some time and show you how to extrude cut these polygons on the sides. But if you turned this in as a drawing, then I would be totally happy with that. So really quickly, I'm going to take these last couple of minutes and sketch on the bottoms of the holes. Okay, and now look at that. Because I left my origin in the center, I know where to start my polygon. I'm going to go down here to create polygon, and I'm going to choose inscribed. Doesn't really matter. And I'm going to start at the center of my polygon in the center of the shape, and then I'm going to come up. And look, as I go up, I'm following that vertical line, and it's tracking vertically. If I tap on the tab key, it allows me to change the number of sides of my polygon. And I'm going to choose 3 for a triangle first. And again, you'll measure this and create the right size, the correct size of a triangle. Because I don't have my part on me, I'm not going to measure. And I'll just continue that process of sketching on the bottom of the hole and choosing polygon, inscribed, and just coming vertically, hit tab, 4 sides for this square. Okay. You know what? It looks like to go vertically on this one, I'm going to want a circumscribed. So I'll try that again. Create polygon. I think circumscribed is the one that we want. So I'll start here, and I'll go vertically, and I'll hit tab and change that to 4. And look at that. That's perfect. I'll just go to the back side now. 2 more times. I'll choose bottom of the hole. I'll choose polygon. I'll choose circumscribed once again. And I'll make it 5 sides this time. Oh, I gotta go down this time to make it the right side up. Should have gone with inscribed again. I think that looks a little too big. What do you think? And finally, we'll do, oops, that's not where I wanted to go. I already had a side selected when I clicked that start sketch. So I'll go ahead and delete that last sketch, and I'll recreate it without anything pre-selected. And I'm going to choose polygon once again, inscribed, and I'm going to come out to the right this time, about that big. And that's going to be it. Now all I need to do is do an extrude cut on all these. Unfortunately, you can't go all of them at the same time. You have to do them individually since they're in different planes, and I will change the distance to all. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. I'll say to next, to object, and when it asks what I'm going to go to, I'm going to go to there, which is the inside of my cylinder, and I'll say OK, and I'll continue that process. Extrude cutting these inside shapes, cut distance to object, and again I'm choosing the inside of my circle as the thing that I'm cutting to, so that way I'm not drilling through a bunch of air, and certainly not drilling through the other side, rather extruding through the other side. To object, choose that. Okay, and then the last one, extrude, square, cut, distance to object, to the inside of the cylinder. I know I'm going fast here. And that looks good. The last thing that I want to do is change the color of my object. And maybe I'll put some fillets on there if I feel like it. I don't feel like it, so I'm going to let you guys do that on your own. And same with the color. Remember, you right click on your component, you go to appearance, and you go choose what you want. Folks, you're done. Make sure you hit File, Save, and save this as cube. And then from here, all you need to do is go to File and make a new drawing of it. Make sure that you choose ASME for the standard, which is the American, and not the international. And yeah, put your dimensions on there, and you're good to go. Turn that in. Okay, hopefully this video was helpful. It's kind of long. Sorry about that. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.